I'm something we in the industry call a freelance weeaboo. Now that means I'm a weeaboo, but only for things that I personally enjoy. And recently, the anime adaptation of Erased landed in my radar. Now, I've already read the manga, so I figured I would go into it, just sort of comparing the differences. And you see those white books behind me? This is the first volume of it. It covers 4 episodes of the anime. This is the 4th volume of it. It covers a single episode in the anime. Now you might be asking yourself, how do both of these books have the same amount of content but with a different amount of episodes? The answer is, the anime doesn't actually give both of them the time that they need. I'm going to be talking about the 4th volume of this. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers, and I'm going to give you 3 seconds to pause. Satoru is a 28-year-old who travels back in time to his 10-year-old body. Using his knowledge and his friends, he works to prevent several kidnap murders that happened during those years. Fast forward, he manages to save everybody he cared for, but the killer, his homeroom teacher Yashiro by the way, figures out that Satoru is the one stopping him, and after an extremely erect monologue, gives Satoru the treatment Blizzard gave Diablo, which is to say he locked him in a car and drowned him. Fast forward again, and he didn't actually die, he just went into a coma for 13 years. After waking up, he begins to try to regain his memories of everything that has happened up till now. This is where the anime and the manga really split off. At this point, the anime only has a single episode left of content, while the 4th volume still has multiple chapters. And today, I'm going to talk about what went wrong trying to translate the pages into episodes. It begins with a monologue from Satoru's mom talking about how much she misses him. The monologue continues, and as a reader, all you can really think about is that it's Satoru's mom saying this. I can't count all the lonely days and nights. My mind was full of negative emotions. Time had stopped for me too. You looked mighty and saintly in these eyes. But then, you turn the page, and oh, fuck! This blew my goddamn mind when I was reading it, because it really gives you insight of the killer himself. He views the loss of Satoru the same way his mom does, which really shows just how much it meant to him. Which brings me to my next point. In the anime, the killer is obsessed with child Satoru. But in the manga, he's obsessed with the foil, the mind of Satoru, the person that could catch him at every corner and stop him before he could do anything. In the anime, there's no nuance to it. He's just like, oh fuck, you stopped me, that's awesome! In the anime, even when Satoru's out of a coma and seemingly not a threat, he's still obsessed with him. But in the manga, he specifically says, honestly, Satoru, if you didn't get your memory back, I wouldn't have even cared. I would just have left. Because throughout the entire series, we learned that Yashiro is pretty smart. He's cunning. If Satoru isn't a threat, he's not going to bother with it. Yet in the anime, he plans to kill Satoru really early on, with no real reason. But in the manga, he actually wants Satoru to put up a fight first, because that challenge is what gives him pleasure, not just Satoru's existence alone. In the anime, he just wants to beat Satoru. It doesn't matter if he even puts up a fight. And another thing that annoyed me, in the anime, they pretty much say that Yashiro didn't kill anybody after the car drowning. He just stopped doing it altogether and became a politician. But in the manga, he did keep killing people. He didn't kill any children, which is in some way a victory for Satoru, but he kept killing other people that were getting in his way, or killing them would somehow give him gain. In the anime, Satoru's memories come back naturally to him pretty quickly after waking up again. In the manga, he runs into this right here, and it starts jogging his memories. Where do I recognize this girl from? Well, that girl helped him in the original timeline when he was first getting framed by the killer. He tracks her down and tries to talk to her because his memories are almost back and she's sort of the key that'll unlock the door. And right as he's about to make a conversation with her, his memories all fly back, and then he just lets her walk by. This is a really big moment in character development and the turn of the story, because he's acknowledged that he doesn't want to drag her back into this. But at the same time, everything that led up to this moment is officially back. He knows who the killer is. He knows what he needs to do. This is a really big moment and a really good way to conclude the Lost Memories arc. But in the anime, she's replaced with the killer, who now has a fixation on Satoru. She has no purpose in the plot anymore. Additionally, in the anime, Satoru pretty much won before the killer even stepped foot into the hospital. If the only logical way to frame Satoru's suicide is to take him to the roof and push him off of it, then as long as Satoru can anticipate that, then it's already a one fight. This makes the climax of it very anticlimactic, because it's already decided before it even happened. In the manga, there's so much more depth leading up to this fight. Satoru and crew narrowly save Kumi from the killer, but then he still manages to get her isolated. Satoru deduces where he's hiding at the camp and confronts him. The killer attempts a murder-suicide, but Satoru plunges him into the lake. Ironic, right? And takes him down with help from his friends. The side characters are the one most affected by this choice to split up the story. Ivory serves no purpose in the story after her first appearance other than to give Satoru a happy ending. Kumi's stripped of any development and becomes someone you could replace with any other kid in the hospital to achieve the same result. Kenya is downgraded to a glorified water boy who's just there to catch Satoru instead of, actually helping beat the killer. Pretty much every side character post-time skip is stripped of any character development whatsoever to make room for the final fight between Satoru and the killer. The anime ending takes a race from a 9 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10. It makes no real effort to tie up any loose ends other than Satoru and the killer, when the entire story is fundamentally about the importance of... The killer also becomes extremely one-note. This video is only about the 4th volume, but the 3rd one is actually also cut up a bit, and it cuts out a lot of the killer's backstory and really turns it into a single allegory about hamsters, when in reality, his descent into madness was caused more about a bunch of elements from his disgusting older brother's examples. Instead, all we get is a Satoru-obsessed sleazy dude who wants to get off one last time. The entire story, he's methodical, he's smart, he's witty, but then, at the end of it, he kinda just becomes a loony bin. What happened to the rest of that? Well, they cut out that development because they couldn't fit it into a single episode. Now, I don't think it was intentional. I think that they had a limited number of episodes that they could make, and they realized that they had to fit it all into one. But it's just a shame. Now, if it were me in the director's chair, I would release an OVA with an alternate conclusion, giving the proper ending to the story, but it's not going to happen.